Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for altering a bridesmaid dress so it's not so revealing? My brother Joe, 55M, is about to marry Sue, 27F. A few months ago Sue asked both me, 60F, and my sister June, 53F, to be bridesmaids. I was touched, as I have only met Sue a few times. They live in another state. Besides myself and June, there are 4 other bridesmaids, all under 30. When Sue sent me the link for the bridesmaid dress, I was horrified. I'm sure the dress will look lovely on her young friends, but I would not want to be seen wearing it in public. It's super sexy, plunging neckline, thigh-high slit, so clingy that it would reveal every lump on my rump. Please understand that I am not a prude. I am reasonably fit and I enjoy dressing up, but I am 60 years old. I would not be comfortable showing that much skin at a formal event with all of our relatives present. I called Sue and nicely asked if there's a more modest version I could wear. She insisted this was the dress she wanted all her bridesmaids in. She wouldn't budge, and not wanting to cause family strife, I didn't push it. June doesn't like it either, but she's a marathon runner so she can pull it off. So I ordered the dress several sizes too large. I took it to a seamstress and had her take it in so it fits, but doesn't cling so tightly to my backside. Using some of the extra fabric she fixed the neckline so it doesn't reveal so much boobage. And she lowered the height of the thigh slit to a few inches above my knee, rather than nearly to my panties. The adjustments are very subtle and hardly noticeable. It actually looks great on me now. When Sue heard I'd had the dress altered, she flew into a rage. She texted me that she does not want a chopped-up dress in her wedding pictures. I sent her photos of me wearing it, but she's not having it. Joe called and told me that I've been disinvited from the wedding party, and they have replaced me with another friend. I thought they didn't want me at the wedding at all, so I canceled my hotel reservation. I hadn't bought my plane ticket yet. Clearly I've upset Sue, and I don't want there to be conflict on her big day. Plus, I'm afraid there would be awkward questions about why my sister is a bridesmaid and I am not. It seems to me it would be less awkward for them to respond to any questions about me with vague, "she was unable to make the trip" answers. I'm also not keen on spending more money on this event where I don't really feel welcome. I've already dropped several hundred on the dress, alterations, and matching shoes. I let Joe know I still am very happy for him and will of course send them a generous wedding gift. But he said they did want me there, and now he's not speaking to me at all, and Sue is telling June that I ruined her wedding. Am I the a-hole for altering the dress so I wouldn't feel naked? And once that blew up, for not wanting to go to the wedding? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Sue's acting like you ruined your dress completely, even though you paid a professional. Also, the age gap between the happy couple is a little odd. She shouldn't be surprised that a different generation wants to dress slightly differently. Opie replies, "Thank you. You seem to get it. I actually paid quite a bit of money to the seamstress, and she did a lovely job. The dress barely looks different from the others at all, it just covers me up a bit more, which seems more appropriate for a 60-year-old woman. I truly did think this was the best solution and would make everyone happy. Boy was I wrong." For context, this is my brother's second marriage, and yep, she's quite a bit younger than he is. But they do seem to be genuinely in love, so I wish them well. The wedding is next month, and I still haven't decided if I should just bite the bullet and face the awkwardness by attending. Honestly, your mistake was letting anyone know you did it. Not the a-hole. The whole bride me thing makes me want to vomit. Opie replies, "Thank you. For the record, I didn't actually tell her. I mentioned it to my sister when we were commiserating about how awful the dress was. She mentioned it to my brother, who told Sue. Ugh. You're right, I should have just kept it to myself. She may not have even noticed, or had the time to make a big deal about it during the wedding. Everyone sucks here. I knew we were in for a ride with the 55-year-old groom and 27-year-old bride, and this did not disappoint. I feel like these dresses either skew super fancy or super trashy, and I have a theory on which end of the spectrum they fall. Regardless, the bride is acting a little over-controlling here and Joe is enabling the vengeful crazy. Opie asked for a reasonable accommodation and they went nuclear. OP is being an a-hole to themselves by still sending a generous wedding gift after being so blatantly discarded. Technically alternating the dress unilaterally was suspect, but given the circumstances and the type of people she's dealing with, I give a pass on that since it was done tastefully within the spirit of the original. OP replies, LOL, your comment gave me a giggle. I have to agree that I'm being overly accommodating to them after they did blatantly discard me. But, if you can't tell from my post, I'm conflict averse and everything I've done so far has been in an effort to avoid conflict. Instead, I've just caused it. I feel like there was no good option here. Whatever I did would cause someone to be unhappy. Perhaps the best option would have been to just grit my teeth and spend an evening looking like a streetwalker in front of all my relatives. Then I'm the only one who'd have been unhappy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my partner I will no longer help her watch the kids while she works from home? Stay-at-home dad. I, M30S, have been a stay-at-home dad for 3.5 years. We have 2 young children, 18 months and 3.5 years old. This all started when I moved across the country for a job that simply didn't exist at her uncle's snack company, despite her and her mother swearing up and down it did, and her actually getting her job there. To take this fake job, I had to quit my job in Minnesota, which meant that when COVID hit shortly after, I didn't qualify for any unemployment benefits or assistance. I burned through my savings. Since she still had a job, we decided I'd stay home with the kids to avoid expensive CA childcare costs. Here's the problem. She works from home in our 1,300 square foot house with paper-thin walls. She takes meetings all day in the next room, which means I have to keep the kids quiet for most of the day. It's incredibly stressful and makes it almost impossible to do anything with them. When we made this arrangement, she promised to find a separate workspace outside the house, a she shed, a converted garage, anything, but 4 years later, that still hasn't happened. To make matters worse, she controls all the finances, refuses to fix up the house, even issues that affect the kids, and has never included me in financial decisions or given me any kind of allowance. She makes a good salary, but she's a terrible spender. Every year, she blows through our savings, and we end up having to catch up financially, which means there's never any money for family activities, home improvements, or anything else. I feel like I have no say in how our money is spent, even though I'm the one sacrificing my career and income for our family. I need surgery on my ankle so I can walk properly again, but it requires a 3 to 6 month recovery period. She refuses to even discuss having a family member come help with the kids so I can get this done. I've applied for disability twice, and even though all the doctors agree, even the ones they hired, say I need it, I've been denied. I love my kids more than anything, but I'm starting to feel like I have no control over my own life or them. I've tried to find a non-standing work-from-home job, but they're all 9 to 5, which defeats the purpose of me being home with the kids. Am I the a-hole for telling my partner I will no longer help her watch the kids while she works from home despite it being the only real way to help in my current capacity? Top comments. This has the earmarks of an abusive relationship. She moved you across the country for a job that didn't exist, while she has one. That's isolation to get you away from family and friends who can question what she is doing. She controls the money and won't give you any say in how it is spent or provide you with any. That's financial abuse. She is denying you surgery. You are whatever the male version of a bangmaid is. Not the a-hole. HI friend. You've got a bigger problem than watching the kids. Your partner is financially abusing you. You are a team, you need to know the finances, the bills, what's due and when. You need a stipend as you are not free childcare. If you can, sit her down and discuss how you two can make this more equitable. You need to tell her you are not happy. If she dismisses your concerns, then you need to decide if this is the life you want. Good luck, OP. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for doing childproofing for my in-laws' visit? I am at 26, F, and my husband is 29, M. We have been married for 5 years and we to Berlin right after marriage since we both found really well-paying jobs. Meanwhile, both of our families, parents, siblings, etc., still live back in Greece and we usually visit back occasionally. Now me and my husband don't have any children and we don't plan to have any. We enjoy buying expensive things and experiencing we never got to as children, such as nice furniture in our home, going to exotic restaurants with friends, travel, hobbies, and generally just our lives with each other exactly the way it is. But that's just how my husband thinks. His family is very traditional and every married couple has at least one kid. This time my husband invited my brother-in-law and sister-in-law to visit us with their 3-year-old son for 2 weeks. This would be the first time they've traveled with their son and the first time we would be hosting our nephew at our home. Now our nephew is known to be going through the terrible twos and has been throwing tantrums and breaking things lately, so I did some childproofing in our home a day before my in-laws were due to arrive. I removed all the glass and ceramic decor. I swapped out our linen tablecloth for a plastic one. I locked up our intoxication devices. I also covered our sofas with a plushy fabric cover. Our sofa's fabric is white cashmere, because nephew likes to snack while watching TV and we can always take it outside and dust of food crumbs. I also changed my maid's schedule to come in 5 days a week instead of 3 so she can help prep breakfast and make sure the house is tidy. However, when my husband saw all of my changes, he kind of got upset. He told me he felt that I was preparing our house as if we were hosting messy and uncivilized people, and asked me why I don't make these changes when our friends in Berlin who have kids come over for dinner. He also said that he's never seen our friends make these sort of changes in their own home for their kids. I don't understand this comparison at all. Coming over for dinner for 3 hours and staying at a place for a couple of weeks is very different. And we've visited our in-laws enough to see how chaotic their home can get, to the point where my brother-in-law and sister-in-law keep mostly plastic items in their homes for convenience. Am I the a-hole? Edit. We hadn't spoke since we had our fight last night and my in-laws are supposed to be landing in the morning. My husband brought food from a restaurant I liked and told me he wanted to apologize. He told me he overreacted because he wasn't admitting to himself how different his brother is as a person ever since he became a dad, and that his life is going in a very different direction with more financial hardships too, and that makes him angry and helpless. He told me he misdirected his frustration at me and thought what I did was really nice, especially since he is more finicky about than I am. I tried my best to make him feel not guilty and responsible for the lives and decisions of other grown-ups. But I'm so relieved he came around on his own. Edit 2. So guys, it's officially day 1 of the in-laws visit and my husband has now gone an extra step and put away most of the lamps in our house because they are glass and super dangerous for a toddler to be around. We have about 35 costs we hate ceiling lights. When we picked up our in-laws from the airport and were driving them back, nephew accidentally poured a bag of chips all over the back seat and floor's mats. Everyone just laughed, but I know my husband was horrified inside, and now he's been vacuuming the backseat area for 2 hours now, lol. Oh, and in-laws super appreciated our baby proofing. Top comments. Not the a-hole. Instead of worrying the entire visit that their kid could ruin something expensive, the visiting parents can rest assured that the space has been child-proofed. As long as all the changes don't make the space uncomfortable, e.g. squeaky plastic couch covers or all decor being hidden so the place is bare, I think it makes a lot of sense. You are making the visit less stressful for everyone. Not the a-hole. It seems like you are taking steps to make your in-laws feel more comfortable and less stressed about their toddler's behavior in your home. You have protected your belongings to some extent, and if toddler spills something, no one will have to be stressed or worried about it. Some people child-proof everything in their homes, others don't do it at all. I think it depends a lot on the child in question. My sister's eldest obeyed implicitly when he was young, to stay out of things he wasn't supposed to touch, and they never had to child-proof anything. His younger brother, however, would immediately get into whatever they told him not to touch. He would stick his fingers into light sockets, spill his food all over the table and himself, run into things and knock furniture over, and he was a delightful child in spite of this, but they did have to childproof their house after he came along. I don't get why your husband is upset you did this. You are right that a few hours of tightly controlled parental supervision is a different thing than a 2-week visit. Your in-laws and also your nephew will probably enjoy the visit so much more because they won't be worried about breaking things or spills on the couch. Hopefully, they will keep their child occupied and safe during the visit, but you have made it much easier for them to do so. Your husband is wrong to assume that because some people don't child-proof their homes, that no one should have to do so. Again, It depends on the personality and activity level of the child or children in question, and it isn't a philosophy of parenting thing so much as it is a stress and worry reducing thing. Keep your home child-proofed for the visit. It's by far the easiest way to have a pleasant time with the in-laws. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to talk to my in-laws about my infertility? My husband and I have been trying to conceive for over 2 years, which comes with its only struggles. Recently my mother-in-law is making comments about just wanting a grandbaby already, or are you even really trying? These comments are becoming more often than when we first started trying. I have asked her to stop with the hurtful comments. My husband has asked her to stop, and she keeps making comments whenever we bring up the next step on the infertility journey. For example, we have an appointment on Friday to plan our IVF journey. She responded, "I think you guys just need to get drunk and boom baby." Am I the a-hole for not feeling comfortable talking about the infertility with her? She is still coming to Thanksgiving, and I still talk to her when around. I just don't want to keep updating her on this journey when she just makes me feel like crap. Top comments. Not the a-hole. The first time they said this, I wish you had the confidence to loudly stand up and tell them to stop asking him about your sex life. You now have an opportunity to do that every single time they bring it up. Embarrass them. Anytime they bring it up. In-laws' names, why do you keep asking about what we do in the bedroom? Why do you care about our sex life so much? How inappropriate to ask about our sex life. Who raised you? Any parent who is that deeply concerned with what their adult children are doing in the bedroom is actually a sicko. Don't make this about your struggles with conceiving because that's yours to deal with privately. Just make it so effing awkward for them to ever ask again. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother about what my sister was doing with her friends causing her to get kicked out? Hey everyone, I'm posting this because I feel guilty and want some outside opinions. We live in the UK, I, 19M, don't live with my mother, Stacy, 39F, and my sister, Jessica, 18F, but they live together in Mum's flat. I have my own place. Jessica does not pay rent or anything. Some context. My mother is currently going through some messy legal drama involving the custody of me and Jessica's sister, Claire, 2F, who is asthmatic. This is important, due to her ex-boyfriend, Claire's father, lying about her doing alcohol and drugs. She's currently staying in a monitored unit until next year so the socials can confirm she is all good. On to the story. I came to the flat to keep Jessica company as she wasn't apparently coping well with living alone. The first thing I noticed when I walked in was a boy I never met in Jessica's bedroom, sleeping in her bed. I was shocked but let it slide because I literally only just walked in the door after a 2-hour journey and he went home later anyways. The next day, Mum called and asked Jessica to let her know if people are staying over. She didn't know the boy was there, she's just feeling uneasy or something, I don't know, or if they're in the house, and Jessica decided to argue with her over it instead of just accepting and apologizing. So after Mum hung up I lectured her before we went on with our day. A little while later, we planned to go to a club and Jessica invited 2 friends over for pre-game drinks, without telling Mum. I didn't know this, and they were hanging out in her room whilst I was playing games in the lounge. I eventually bought my entry ticket and went to Jessica's room to tell her when I noticed a massive cloud of weed smoke hanging in the air of the room. I was in disbelief and pretty much immediately called Mum to inform her, and she went mental. Jessica decided to argue with Mum about kicking the friends out, so Mum eventually broke and told Jessica that she's kicking her out and she's going to have to stay by our father, who isn't Claire's father by the way. Jessica is fuming and isn't talking to me and I feel really bad, but I honestly was gonna go ballistic at her friends myself for the lack of respect, but I still wanna know if I did anything wrong. Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister doing drugs in the home could jeopardize your mother's custody battle. In light of that, your sister should be aware enough to keep that well away from the home. Imagine if social service had come for an inspection. Even the next day they could have smelled it. Sucks for you, sister, but she is an adult and your mom has a 2-year-old to consider. OP replies. That's what practically everyone IRL is telling me, so it's good to know other people share that opinion. Thanks for your reply. Worth noting, if you don't already know, that UK social services can and will use hair strand monitoring to see if residues of drugs end up in parents' hair. It's possible that some of this cloud of drugs might end up in your mother's hair. Your mother might be best advised to tell social services, who appreciate parents working with them rather than hiding things from them. I suspect she doesn't have a family lawyer and wouldn't be entitled to legal aid, otherwise I'd tell her to ask her lawyer. Some family lawyers do free consultations. It might be worth blowing her one free consultation on that. Might also be worth her getting ahead of the game to explain why she's kicked Jessica out, showing that she can and will make hard decisions to protect Claire, otherwise ex-BF might try to use it against her. Not the a-hole. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.